welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I'm Al Kumar.
And I am Hanifa.
And we're back at you each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. Today will be no different. In the studio with us today, we have a special guest, Miss Quiet Storm.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
This is going to be very exciting. Quiet Storm is am I saying it right? Astrologist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She is an astrologist, and she's here. We're going to be just talking about astronomy, astrology 101. So all the basics of astrology, if you guys are into it, or if not, maybe you're a skeptic out there. You don't believe in none of this. We're going to dig into all of that right now. Honey, do you want to start with anything?
No, actually, I just want to say welcome. I'm excited about today's program. And what is it called? The chart. What is it?
The natal chart.
The natal chart. Thank you for my natal chart.
Yes,
I'm actually excited to read it once we're finished. So welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, question. So that is the proper terminology, astronomist. Now we saying
Astrologist.
astrologist.
Yes.
What is the difference between astrology and astronomy?
Well, with the astrology, it's the study of the stars and the planets. Astronomy is more so just the planets. But the astrology is the characteristics that go in along with the planets and the stars. And everyone has a little bit of every planet and every zodiac sign in their natal chart. Mm-hmm. So what makes this unique is that once you do receive and read your natal chart, you'll see that you are every bit of the zodiac sign, just like we are of the collective. We are all connected. So
I find all of this fascinating, and I used to be a skeptic. I did. And most of my years, I was like, yeah. But then, the more I paid attention, the more I focused in, the more I got information, the more I'm like, hold up. This is something to this. And then knowing the history of it and how our ancestors used astronomy and astrology all the time in their day-to-day dealings. So all of that allowed me to reconsider how I thought about the whole genre. I don't know what you would consider it. But just how did you get started in this field of work?
Yeah, give us some background.
Well, like most people, it started within the family. Grandmother, she would make reference to people's birthday. She remembered everyone's birthday, and with that, she connected it to a sign or a name from when I was younger. And I'm like, well, what is a Leo? What is a Libra? What is a Aries? What is that? And so I've always had an affinity to learn more about astrology, and just growing up and seeing what horoscopes were like, and a lot of people look to horoscopes and they're like, oh, that's not really me. There's some people who live by it every day. As soon as they wake up, they got to read their horoscope, and that's how they live out their day. And some people use it as a tool that when things go right or things go wrong, they refer to it. And then you have people who are skeptics. So with those people, they don't quite relate fully to a horoscope, and I don't blame them because the horoscope is on a general
Really broad
perspective, very broad. So when you tap into what your natal chart is, it's very in-depth.
Yes.
Because you have to have certain elements to put in the system for the natal chart, the software. Back in the day, it used to just be by hand. And that way you can get a more accurate horoscope reading. Because with every degree, twist and turn in the universe, it's a difference in the personality of the person. So a horoscope is very broad, and I just kept digging deeper, like, okay, there's got to be something more to this. Because I would come across Tauruses, and not all of them were the same either, and I'm just like, okay, there's got to be more. And the deeper I went, the more that I learned about how this rabbit hole goes, because there's levels to this ish, like really. So
I see.
yeah,
Yeah,
always
and,
had an
and
interest in
thank
it.
you so much. You blessed Hanifa and I with our natal chart information. And I was reading it earlier, and I was like, whoa, it sounds like somebody just took my whole life and put it on paper. It's like, whoa, this is so accurate. Why? Why is a natal chart so detailed and accurate on people's personalities?
Well, when you consider the characteristics of each of the elements, the zodiac signs, the houses, all of that is just a layer of the onion to your personality. So when referring back to the horoscope in a general sense, yes, we can put that towards the collective, but as we get narrower in the details, it becomes more like you. So the time of your birth, the place of your birth, the birth date, all of that plays a role, because when at the time that you were born, there were other people. We all agree that there were other people who were born on that same day.
Yes.
But as the time, the hours in the day change, so do the positions in the universe slightly, by a degree, half degrees, by signs sometimes. And so this is how you can get the slight variation between 3 different Capricorns and someone who's a Scorpio and whatnot. So it's like I said, it gets deep.
Wow.
It gets deep. Yeah.
It does. It does. So if 2 people on the other side of the earth from each other were born on the same day, born on the same at the same time, their personalities will be very similar.
We could say very similar. The probability of their personality will be more similar than someone who was born the day after. So I like to explain it or describe it as like a portal. So like a window of time. If someone was, other than you, was born on July 29th, and there was a window of 2.5 hours, because the moon changes very frequently. They will be closer in personality to you. It's good luck finding them, because this is a big world, but there are many other people who came within that portal in your soul group that came down to this realm and will exude those personalities, those same personalities.
Oh,
so
fascinating. Fascinating.
I guess I'm trying to I'm listening, I'm trying to make the connection. What is it? I don't know how to phrase it. That's what I'm over here struggling with. I'm trying to figure out what is the connection, the spiritual connection to when you're born, you as an individual, and when you're born, does that shape who you become?
Okay. Well, I want to say from, once we're
And families, pardon us. Hanifa's a new mom, and we keep it family oriented around here. So she's going to grab the baby because she is not happy without being in her arms right now.
Okay, baby.
Be quiet, right up.
So as far as the spiritual aspect, when we had back in the day, we had all we had was the stars. All we had was to look up, and we had the planets to base how we planted food, as far as the harvest time and whatnot. So we go back to those roots because the universe is within us, and as above, so below. So we look back. As far as the history, the spiritual sense of it, is that's what they used to do. And we're kind of going back to that because with society nowadays, we have been so removed from our true self, our inner self, our spiritual sense, that we have to look towards doctors or, and I say big pharma doctors, but psychologists and other people to tell us about ourselves, but we've been so removed from our own sense of self that we're conditioned that we have to look elsewhere to get us back home. That makes sense.
Yes, it does.
So using astrology and what I do here is basically kind of help people learn more about themselves, to know thyself,
Yeah, that
and
was one
to
of my
help them
questions.
to to have forward movement in their journey.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because that was one of my questions because I couldn't help but to think as I was reading my natal chart, I was like, wow, for somebody who may not know much about themselves, I would imagine this would be really helpful
Yeah.
because it was very, very detail oriented.
Like I said, it's levels to this ish. I mean, you can't really describe your own self in one word, you know.
Right.
So you wanna, when you get the natal chart, I call it the autobiography, and I say auto because you always have free will, but it's like looking at your own book, you know. And there's things that you, as I call the known knowns, there's things that you know you're doing, there's the things that you think other people don't know you're doing, and then there's the unknown unknown. So there's things that you wouldn't even fathom that you maybe were progressing towards, things that you were not cognizant that you were doing, maybe to yourself or to other people. So like I said, it's basically to help, kind of bring awareness to the self.
Yeah, because
So.
I couldn't help it. It was all throughout. It was saying that I had an aggressive personality. I was like, oh hush. And I was like, I do? Oh, and I started thinking of different scenarios. I'm like, wow, maybe I do. Yeah, it was very interesting. What is the difference between like your first house and your second house and your third house? What does that mean?
So within the chart, it's divided into 12 houses. And if you want to imagine how a clock is, and just food for thought, everything that is created in industry in here is a reflection of ourselves internally. So like a clock, we got 12 numbers, we have 12 houses. The only difference is the clock is actually backwards and shifted. If you look at a natal chart, your first house starts at the 9 o'clock position on the clock. And we go counterclockwise on a natal chart. That's how you read it. So with the first house, that's more about the self, your appearance, your outward appearance to other people. Once we get into the first 1 through 6 houses are about the self-development, and how you're growing and how you portray yourself to the world. Second house, we go into finances, we go into property, possessions. Third house is about your siblings, your neighbors. Fourth house is home. Fifth house is about creativity, also involves children. Sixth house is more so your health and service to other people. Now, when we get into 7th to 12th house, that is more so the houses, how we interact with the world.
Okay.
So your 7th house deals with partnership, spouse, be other people, other relationships that you have, the marketplace, as I call it. 8th house is your hidden stuff. So the stuff that maybe could be a secret, you don't want really too many people to know about.
Interesting.
As we get into the 9th, we're talking about travel, philosophy, higher learning, education. 10th house is your employment. It also represents the father. Your profession, things that you're passionate about as far as in this realm working. 11th house is your networking, your friends, basically the greater humanity. And then the 12th house is like your spiritual hidden self. So the things that can be done that can change your life. It's not always known to other people, but that's what I call the unknown unknowns, that something can happen within the 12th house that can change, basically restart that 1, 2 through 12 again.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating
Yeah.
stuff. The skeptics. How do you get a lot of skeptics? Has it changed at all throughout the course of the years? Are you finding people being more receptive to the information than times past, or?
I want to say yes. I still get my fair share of skeptics. I used to be one too for years, so I totally understand where they're coming from. I see what they, they have questions about those things because, their awareness isn't quite there because they've been conditioned to believe something else. So as time has passed and I've gotten older, and now that this society, the paradigm has shifted now to more of a spiritual influence, more people are looking towards astrology and numerology and metaphysical subjects.
Yeah.
So to say, I mean, there's always going to be skeptics of everything. So I still have my fair share, but there are more people gravitating more towards the metaphysics, the occult, and it's not so much taboo as it used to be years ago. So.
And do you find like the skeptics are certain zodiac signs, or certain people more skeptical than others based on the charts?
That's a good question. So I noticed that I would say maybe there are some earth signs. Earth signs, do not get offended. Because of the type of mentality that they have, earth signs they want more of a seeing is believing type of example. So, when you tell them about astrology, no one could go up into the skies right now and say, okay, that's Pluto. That's, we have to have certain technologies to see those things. But it's deeper than that because you have to know the angles, the degrees that they are in the constellation. So with earth signs, they're a little bit more on the skeptic side. But, until I show them a little bit what the natal chart is and explain that to them, then they're like, okay, maybe we'll see, but to say it's not all earth signs, but you could have aspects in your chart that could make you a little bit more skeptical of certain paradigms, or you have placements in your natal chart that make you not as open-minded to things like astrology.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Family, if you're just joining us, this is the Empower Hour, and we are here with Quiet Storm, and we're talking about the 101s of astrology, just the basics. Question, do you ever get really concerned reading somebody's chart? Like, whoa, this person is in trouble, big trouble.
Okay. There have been some charts. I can just read the wheel and see that, they have some difficulties in certain areas of their life. Everyone is unique, but, God makes no mistakes. The universe makes no mistakes. So where you have certain aspects or certain planets and certain houses that create more of a difficult situation or scenario for you, there's always something to balance it out. So to say that someone is doomed, I can't say that because there's always something that happens that balances whatever is, it's like the Libra scale. It's something that will balance that situation out for them. So, if you believe in God, you believe in the universe, the higher power, they got you in a sense. But I'm a strong believer of that as well. So.
Is the charts, how can I ask this? Is the charts geared towards good? I ask this because I wonder if people are certain people prone to evil deeds.
Okay. So, there's certain aspects, like I said, the aspects is just another word for the relationships, the connections of the stars and the planets in someone's chart. There are people who have, as what we call bad aspected planets. So there are relationships between certain planets or certain stars that can make someone more violent than what society calls normal. And
physically violent.
Physically. There are also aspects that can make someone, according to society, more sexually perverse. So it just depends on the combination. I like to use the analogy as a Rubik's Cube. If you've ever attempted, you know what a Rubik's Cube is. You know, there's different sizes with all solid colors. Once you mix it up, twist it up, they come out of place. That's how the universe is in your natal chart, because you came out at a certain time, so you're a certain combination of the Rubik's Cube. Now, depending on that combination, you may get a whole side that's just all kind of colors. There's nothing going on. I like to say that, you know, more of the not so nice aspects could be someone who has planets or stars that can make them, you know, according to society, more of a criminal. Yes.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes. So.
And you can read that just based on their charts.
Yes, I can. Also, but the thing is this. We also have times where, you know, something comes on the news and then they talk about somebody who, let's say, I don't know, killed the neighbor or killed the whole family, and, you know, they talk to the neighbor or they talk to someone close on the news and they're like, oh, I would have never guessed this person did this. They were the nicest person. When we come out, you know, of the womb, the universe is still always changing and shifting, right? So that Rubik's Cube is always turning and twisting. There can be times where a bad aspect can come about and be placed on your natal chart that can create a situation where, hey, you just snapped today and you just felt
trauma,
like you
right?
want to,
like
yes,
trauma in people's
trauma.
lives and,
So, you know, when you get those people that's like, oh my goodness, they went to church every day, or they were, you know, they were always at the soup kitchen, and one day they just seemed like they snapped. It could very well mean that there was that combination, that combination of the Rubik's Cube, or how the stars were aligned in the universe, that created a higher probability. Not to say that it will happen, because I always say you have free will.
Right.
But there is a higher chance of something not so nice happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I don't know, I stepped out a little bit. A little bit. But I don't know if you guys covered this. Compatibility? Did you guys talk about that yet?
No.
Okay, how does that work? Because that's like a big thing. Is it like a real thing to where certain signs shouldn't be together? Or, you know, I mean, because people make up, there are people that will meet people and say, oh, you're what, Virgo? I don't do well with Virgos, you know? So is that like a real thing, the compatibility part? Are some signs more compatible with others?
Okay. On a general sense, yes. Astrology 101, we could say yes. But to just disregard the other parts of the person's natal chart, I don't think it's fair.
Okay.
You know, so let's say, you know, Leos only get along with other fire and other air, but they don't give any earth signs and water signs the time of day. Now, what you end up doing is you kind of miss out on opportunity, because you could be learning from that person. And this is with any relationship you have. It's just not a romantic relationship or whatnot. So we are more than just our sun sign. And usually people just go based off of our birthday and that zodiac sign that's associated with that. But depending on the time that you were born and the location, you also have an ascendant, which is, I like to call your sign on Earth, on this realm. You have a moon sign. All the planets in the sky, we have a sign, a zodiac sign assigned to that. So you could be a fire sign and you wonder why you are attracting earth signs. It could very well mean that your ascendant, or even your moon sign, or any of the other inner planets like your Mercury or your Venus or your Mars, have earth signs or water signs in them. So you're attracting a different element, and you're not understanding because, you know, I'm a Leo. Why am I attracting this Capricorn? Like, we're not supposed to be compatible. Well, it could be because, you know, your Mercury is a Mercury can be a Virgo. your moon could be a Capricorn, and you're pulling that person, that sun of theirs, to that moon or to that Venus, and so that creates an aspect or relationship. So I kind of forewarn people, don't knock what you are conditioned to believe, because there's more to it. So with every, like you were saying, with the compatibility, it's a synastry chart, just with that, like any other relationship you have with your parents, your kids, your coworkers, your friends. Your natal chart and their natal chart placed on top of each other creates aspects. So, you might have that friend that you can call up, hey girl, we going out Friday night. That's your party friend, but she may not be a good roommate.
Yeah.
So this is how we get deeper into when we go into the different houses, as to what these relationships you have with other people, who you click well and who you not click so well with.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Can you pick up on people's energies, or are you more of you know them by what you know about their charts?
Reading.
I can pick up on energy very well. I do get psychic insight. I use the natal charts. I use the astrology as a tool to kind of confirm what I feel. But it's very interesting that, when I come across certain people and just observing them, I can kind of tell if they have more fire or more water in their chart or more air. And I'm at that point where I can kind of tell if it's what inner planet. So if it's your Mercury, that's a little bit more on the earth sign level, or your sun could be fiery. Something is exuding from you that's telling me, okay, it makes me want to ask about that. So, yeah, it's the blessing that I have, the gift.
Do you deal with the cards? Do you do the cards?
The tarot cards?
Yeah.
No, I don't deal with tarot cards.
Okay.
I know some people who do, but I don't use tarot cards.
Okay.
So.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask, I was looking at the website. You offer some sort of therapy?
Yeah, so metaphysical therapy.
What exactly is that?
I have background in therapy, but now that I've kind of went into another phase in my life, I use stones and gems. Some people are into metaphysical beliefs. So using that and recommending certain stones to have in your house or to wear, herbs as well, eating habits and all that. So just trying to kind of help the person cleanse themselves, I should say, on a spiritual level. And hopefully that kind of manifests out into the physical.
Yeah. Speaking of stones,
Actually, I have one on myself
today.
Click ones.
Yeah, and I do. I sell stones too. Not a large variety. Ironic. But I find that it's a trending thing right now, the whole stone thing. But then I find some people who, again, the skeptics. So I don't believe in none of that, and I often have to remind them. Like, that's cool, but just keep in mind, like, you wouldn't even be able to use your cell phone if it wasn't for crystal.
Yeah.
Or, so, the powers that be know the power of the stones and the crystals, and they use it every day, in different, technologies and things. Can you give us a little insight on stones? What are their qualities?
So, like I was saying earlier, everything that is made in the industry, commercialized, is from the universe, as above, so below. But people don't realize how much, the powers that be, or the ones who are in control, use these natural earth gems, the stuff that is from the earth, from God, from the universe, into technology. So, for those skeptics that don't believe in these stones, they have to really open their mind and see how asleep they are, and still are. So, with certain stones, I depending on your sun sign, your ascendant, your moon, there are certain stones that will resonate better with you.
Yeah.
So, for example, like Leos, wearing or using tiger's eye is a good stone to wear. Even when you have the birthstone, they say your the month, and that's also a good indicator. People tend to like their birthstone. Some people don't.
Right.
But to look deeper into that, because there's also your zodiac sign, because a month has 2 zodiac signs in it. But there's not just one stone associated with it. But stones could help with everything from clarity to psychic insight to protection to even health issues. It can kind of ward off certain diseases and all that if you have the belief in it. So you have to, just like with anything else, there's that hope in the unseen.
Yeah.
You can't make someone believe into something that they don't want to. So the information is there. When they are ready to, and when the universe and the stars align, maybe they'll get on that track. But just with anything else, there has to be a belief in it in order for it to quote unquote work.
Yeah.
Do they speak?
I'm sorry?
Do the stones speak to people?
The stones, some people are very sensitive to that. Yes. So, there are, what I like to do when I buy stones is, if there's like a container of them, I'll put my hand in it. I pick up the stones, I feel it. Some people feel shocks. Some people feel some type of metaphysical or physiological energy within them, and they're like, okay, this is it. If you ever have that feeling where you're gravitating, something is pulling you, you can't really explain it, that's really spirit talking to you. But people, they ignore it. But we have to go with that gut feeling all the time, because that won't lead you astray.
Yeah.
So.
And I find when people come to me, and I'm still learning, I have a lot to learn about the stones. When they come to me and ask me on my table, what stone should I get? And I always tell them, which one are you drawn to?
Right.
And normally, 9 times out of 10, the one they grab when we read the properties is the one that they needed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's good practice. Yeah. And to get them more in tune with themselves, their inner spirit. You know, like I said, we're so off balance because of society and what they conditioned us, that we're out of whack. We're out of alignment.
Yeah.
So getting stones, if they have belief in it, will help them be more in alignment. Get that Rubik's Cube solved.
Yeah.
So I heard you mention the therapeutic properties. I heard you talked about the detox properties, like the cleansing of oneself. What other things would you say astrology or astrological reading? What other purposes could they be used for? So if I have a major life decision to make, you know what I mean? And maybe it's a job or my next move, maybe a business move. Like, how can astrology be of assistance?
Okay. Well, if you get a reading with me, I can definitely see where there are areas in the natal chart that you would have difficulties with, even things that you would be indecisive about. And when I look at that and compare it to how the stars are now, because the universe is always changing, it could kind of help me, guide the person into, okay, well, you always have free will, but maybe this might be the better decision, but you won't know until you try it. And a lot of times people just have fear. They may know deep inside, usually when I do readings, they already know what they were going to do. And it was their gut feeling that was like, okay, maybe I should do this.
So
but they
doubt.
talk themselves out of it. And then they do the reading with me and they're like, man, I knew it. I should have. That shoulda, coulda, woulda is what you should have went with first. So when we fight that and we deal with the fear, we end up prolonging life decisions and openings and opportunities that, may not come back, ever. So, doing the chart and going over that with them is kind of like confirmation of things that you already know.
Yeah.
Because spirit won't lead you astray.
Yeah. What I recognized in my own life is my first thought. Usually, whatever that first thought was the accurate one. It's when I go back and think twice about it and go with that second thought. It's like always, it always messes things up.
Yeah.
I saw when I was glimpsing through, but I'm coming to my question. When I was skimming through the little bit I caught of my natal chart, there was one part. I was like, ooh, that's personal. But it was something about, like, I have a tendency to, like, change up on people, and that could create a problem. And I'm like, yeah, because I've been dealing with that within my own self. Like, why are you like this? And for me, it's not like it's no love lost. It's just that I just feel like I need to be going in another direction now. Like, I still love you, we cool. Right. But people, I find people will take that personal.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like, well, you ain't ish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bye,
Yeah.
And I'm okay. Like, my personality is very much okay.
Yeah.
But when I read that little part, I was like, she's just all in my business though. Like, do I want to continue? But the question that I had was, do you discuss, like, do you know anything about portals? And can you touch on that? If you do, can you touch on, like, can you create portals in, like, your home and stuff like that? And what is a portal, first of all?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as far as portals, I mean, there are always portals being made in the universe. You would have to know the timing as well. As far as the creation of portals, now we're talking about law of attraction. If we're going on that end, so creating and bringing forth the energy. Everything is energy, but creating a portal where that you're presenting that energy into something that you want to manifest. So the portal, the window, the energy source. I mean, we could play on words, but you can create it. We are the creators. So, there are portals that are, if we see them coming, it's certain things that we can do that are ideal for that portal. And that could be, right now we're going through a portal of purging and getting rid of old routine ways. So this whole Saturn conjunct the Pluto conjunct the South Node is, the things that we thought were working, it's time to let that go. And the more we fight it and we hold on to, it's going to mess us up even more. So there, some people may be going through some things like, end of marriage. It could be health issues going on. It could be just certain friendships or relationships with people that they've just been holding on to, and they're just like, oh, but I know them for so long. But like you were saying, people drift apart. I mean, and it's not always a bad thing. It's just how the stars are aligned and that Rubik's Cube. And sometimes, you guys go on a different path. Right. So, it's everything is interchanging. It's always changing. It's just how you deal with it. And, when you feel like you want to give up, don't, because it's only temporary.
Yeah.
So we have a question. So I'll let you take this question before I give you mine. How does the horoscope science relate to energies and cycles of time?
Thanks, Aisha, for the question. I think she just answered that.
She did?
I was going to say, yeah. I think
that means she had probably asked that a long time ago.
Okay.
But so I read that, and then when she was saying the energy thing, I was like, that sounds like the answer to Aisha's question.
The natal chart, right? Because you're talking about the cube a lot, and it's ever changing, right? The universe is always changing, and so the natal chart, I had to submit something to you, right? So if I come back another year, is this natal chart still accurate to me, or does it change with time?
So you only came out the womb one time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You only came out one time. So your natal chart stays the same.
Gotcha.
The thing is, as we grow and we get older, you, along with the universe, shift, just like the Rubik's Cube. So those planets and those degrees shift. They shift 1 degree. All the planets are on a different cycle. So they could shift 1 degree, they could shift more. Some are a little slower because they're on a generational level. But you know that you weren't the same person 10 years ago.
Right.
You weren't the same person 20 years ago. Okay, so there is a such thing called a progressed chart.
Oh, okay.
So that is more advanced, and that is where you are now in comparison to when you were born, right? So you will see and view life differently as if, compared when you were a baby, because obviously it didn't apply. But that will also play a role in how you interact with people, how you see yourself, how you accept things that occur in your life. Because you want to be sure of yourself that in next 10, 20, 50 years, you aren't dwelling or getting upset about certain things that used to tick you off, or things. When we get older, we talk about the older generation, and as they go senile, or they say what's on their mind, or there's things, their outlook on life is different. It's because their natal chart has progressed, that they have become more mature.
Yeah.
And they don't allow things to bother them, or they're more accepting of others because they have seen the world. They have seen so many people and experienced so many people that they're more accepting. So they kind of let things roll off their back.
When I hear you talking, I'm thinking, do we really have free will? When you break it down the way you do, and I'm hearing and I know the terminology, you're ruled by certain suns or whatever, in the astrology terms, and I'm like, it seems to me that we really are being shaped and guided and shifted throughout our lives, based on what I'm hearing you say.
Now we're going deeper. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we are going deeper than one-on-one.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I love it.
So nature versus nurture comes into play. So it's like, and I think about real quick, I think about this HBO special, I think it was HBO, BET, one of them, HBO, where they had these three, I don't know if you saw it, these three triplets, and they separated them at birth. And they never even knew that they had brothers out there. It was all three brothers. But when they found each other and came back together, the fascinating thing for me was that they all shared similar personalities and characteristics. They walked the same, and they answered each other's sentences, and they wore their hair the same, and things like that. I'm like, but you didn't even know this person. So I'm like, so are we really, do we really have free will?
Yes, I mean, if you're a believer, even in the Christianity, we always have free will. You always have the choice of one or the other. There's a duality in life. So we could say, just like we were talking about going against that gut feeling, something will happen to kind of steer you back. Whether that's
very
a tragic,
true. Yep.
Something tragic has happened, or something is like, it's pulling you back.
That's
so,
very true.
We have multiples. They all came in that portal. Remember that portal at the time, those people that were born within the same time frame, part of the world.
And from the same womb.
And from the same womb. They're going to
three.
be very similar. But them being separated, the circumstances of nurture had shaped them more to be in alignment back to how they were in the womb. So it sounds like, because I haven't seen the special, but it sounds like, God, the inner spirit, was working within them to kind of get them back together. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
So every experience in their life led up to that. Everything that they've experienced prior was leading up to that. Right. Okay.
Yeah. The universe and God makes no mistakes.
Right.
You come across people in your life for a reason. Everything you experience is for a reason. Whether you're asking God, why is this happening to me? It's to teach you a lesson.
I believe that.
Something is going on to kind of get you to reevaluate yourself so that you can get more back, or you can get back in more alignment with spirit.
I definitely believe
It's
that.
funny. I was driving this morning. This has been happening quite a bit before I come here on Wednesdays, which I deal with this a lot in the morning times because my car is almost like my meditation spot, right? So I tend to get like a lot of downloads, I guess, when I'm driving. So this morning, when I was taking my other son to school, that is, I thought that the thought that came to me as I'm driving on the highway is that, you know, sometimes we're so used to driving to a certain location over and over that sometimes we don't even know how we got there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it takes something to happen to wake us up to say, you need to take control of the wheel.
Right.
I do not know what a thought came to me,
Right.
but as we're talking, I'm like, this is the connection right here. We're
Yeah.
talking exactly what came to me this
Yeah.
morning. Because that so I was like, yeah, because I remember being Suitland Parkway. Been on it many times.
Yeah.
Did not even I realize it was a Suitland Parkway. I just know I was somewhere on some highway until I got in an accident. And every time I get on Suitland Parkway, my hands, of course, is the experience, but right away I want to make sure that I'm not just chilling, driving with my music loud, because now I know I'm on this highway. It's just like someone hit ice or something in the winter time. You know,
Right.
when it gets really cold or snow, they slow down. And I think in life, you know, we can kind of be like in auto drive, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
until something
Yes.
happens.
Point.
And then it's like, oh, so it's just like you're saying, like something happens to bring us back to the point where it's like, hey, wake up. Take
Wake
control
up.
of your life. You have to drive this car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to inject that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to wake up. I mean, if you could have a blind eye to anything as long as you want, but something is going to happen to say,
Yeah.
hey, like, look,
Pay
get it
attention.
together. Yeah, exactly. Pay attention. Get it
10
together.
years later, though, you know, you be so mad. You be like, you know, I had this thought, like you're saying, 10 years ago, I should have been did that. I should
Yeah.
have invested in that property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 10 years later, you looking back like, wow, you made how much off of this property?
Yeah.
Millions.
And I wonder if that's why people struggle emotionally when they do things in life they really don't like jobs. I think about people career-wise.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Some people hate their jobs or
Yeah.
despise what they do, and it's hard getting up in the morning.
Yeah.
They got road rage going to work because
Yeah.
they mad. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Coming and going. And it's like,
Yes.
I wonder it's because it's your spiritual realm telling you, it's like,
It's
let me out of this.
Exactly.
You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing here.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, you know, the whole thing about working this job that you hate, it's not a career. When I talk about your natal chart and the things that's on, there is the 10th house that talk about your career, things that it will come naturally to you, things because based off of your gifts and talents that the universe or God has given you, those type of professions you could get up and never feel like you worked a day in your life, you know. So, but because of society and because of, you know, different scenarios we are forced to work jobs that we hate. We work with people that we can't stand, you know. So you get up and your spirit is already jacked up because you waking up on the wrong side of the bed. You waking up in a lower vibration because you're like, oh man, now I gotta go deal with these people today. Oh, we got this meeting. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know. So when we start feeling that way, we end up sending a chain reaction down the line that can mess everything else up in your life.
Wow.
Because stress, we know what stress
Yes.
does to the body.
Yes.
So, you know, you have issues at work, it could bleed over into family
Yes.
stuff.
Good
You know, you
teaching.
bring in work home.
Yes.
You know, so little things like that. Once you start having, my advice to people, if you have those feelings, start looking for another job. It could be the combination of people that you work with.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have that sense that, it's time for me to go. Oh, but the money is good. You're really doing yourself a disservice. Even though the money, we're talking about fiat money now. I don't want to get too deep into that, but we're talking about money that's not really real.
Yeah.
Are you taking that as priority over your well-being?
Right. Right.
And what
Good
is
point.
more important to you?
Right.
And can you think about things like, can you find the same type of job, but just maybe in a different state, maybe a different company? It
Going
could be
outside
any
the box.
combination.
Yeah.
Just try it. But, you know, people are so stuck in their ways.
And it's fear too.
And it's
Yeah.
fear.
I watch a lot this new series. It's not new, but it's a series on YouTube. It's called Black in Japan.
Okay.
And I'm like hooked to this thing, right?
Okay.
And these people, that's what a lot of them did. They just decided to kind of just step out of the box. and go and find work in Japan. And
Wow.
you know, of course, you know, the Asian societies or Asian nations, they're kind of homogenous. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they're not used to like a lot of different looking people. So of course,
Yeah.
they want to touch your skin, your hair. So I
Right.
watched the series to kind of figure out, like, find out what their experiences are. You know, and so after watching them, I want to encourage my own kids travel.
Yeah.
Right.
Travel, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because the black experience is everywhere else is not the same as in America, and
Right.
that's something. That's why I watch the series all
Right.
the time. But I wanted to ask about the natal chart. How do I use this? What is the now that I have this? What am I supposed to do with it? Is it as like a point of reference that I can go back to? Should I use it to guide me? What is the purpose? What is the use of it?
Okay, well, I wanna kind of backtrack what you're
Okay.
saying with the black in Japan. So there's also another kind of chart, a locality map, where if we took your chart and we placed it in a different part of the world, and that's compared to how the universe, the stars, and the planets are aligned now. You can flourish in a different part of the world based off of how your natal chart is.
Wow.
Because of the angles. We're talking about the angles on the Earth in comparison to the other planets. So
Right.
you could be doing so bad on the East Coast, but you move to Texas or
Right.
you move to Alaska and you could become a millionaire.
Wow.
I
So
mean, it could be...
your struggle, that your issue, you're going from job to job, thinking I just need to change that, but your issue is America.
Yeah, it
You
could
might
be.
need to get out the
You might
country.
need to go to Africa, go back there,
together.
go to China,
Yeah,
go
wow.
to India.
Wow.
There's certain houses that could be affected depending on where you are in the world.
Interesting
Wow.
stuff.
So when you mention that show, them being there, they there's aspects of their chart that flourish.
Yeah.
So it was better for them in that sense
Yeah.
because it was more important to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
So,
it?
oh, she did.
I'm sorry.
You-
So
Go
yeah,
ahead,
sorry.
sorry.
So as far as using it, more of it is awareness. Once you learn your natal chart, is awareness about yourself. To accept yourself, because when I first got my natal chart, I was like, "Who told y'all?" Just like you said, "Who said? Oh, I don't want nobody to look at this." I don't know who wrote this, but I can say blasphemy, but it's kind of like, who put this in print? So it's
Right.
and then I got over it because it was like, all right, I know this is me. Nobody else knows, or at least no one I think knows. But you have to accept it. Once you
all
accept
of
it,
it.
right? You know thyself. You accept it. Then you can walk differently
Yeah.
in that confidence.
Yeah.
So how you deal with other people,
Yeah.
how do you interact with other people? Your triggers. There's
Yes.
certain people that you're like, oh, I
Part
got to
of
get
knowing
away from
yourself.
you.
Yeah.
And once you know yourself, you know thyself, as I
Yeah.
say. You can. It's a sense of peace
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
that comes
Yes,
with it.
is.
So
And
using
also
it.
it helps you. It helps direct you because being that I know for me, I'm just on the journey of like knowing self, and I'm still on it. I think it's like a forever journey. And where I'm at right now, I find that there's certain spaces and places that I just would not put myself in because I know that they are going to bring up certain parts of me that, right.
Yeah.
I'm a fire sign,
Triggered.
and I'm just like, no, I'm just going to stay away from there.
Yeah.
So a part of knowing yourself is like we want to accept the good things all the time, but then there are these parts of ourselves that if manifested can kind of give us a bad name, or people
Right.
might take them and define
And
us,
then-
even though we know that's not all of who we are. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So just knowing yourself for direction.
Right.
Do I need to be here? Do I need to be amongst these people? Do I need to be in this space? Do I need to be at this job?
Right.
What's
Yeah.
trigger? Is it? I'm triggered every day.
Right.
Do I really need to be here?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And that's spirit talking to you.
Yeah.
That's that gut. So
Yeah.
listen to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're creating that internal turmoil that will manifest into that stress, into health problems, and then it's just like throwing a pebble into the water and you see the ripples. All right? Those are the houses. As we get, just like a atom, in chemistry, there's the nucleus and then there's the rings. Think of it like that. So when the core is messed up, everything will suffer from it.
Yes.
So
Man,
when you got a ring that's like, hey, this some work needs to be done here, and you neglect it, it will you know, it will kind of
And
transfer
what I
over.
find is that a lot of the work usually stems from childhood traumas. That's what I find.
And unresolved issues.
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
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 Just I know we're running out of time, and I want to know: is it best to just allow people to be their own personalities? I think of something like, again, my jury, and I have some customers that have come to the table, and they don't want big bulky stuff, and I've seen other salespeople attempt to convince these people to get out, step out of the box. No, you look good in some big hoops. Go ahead, girl, live a little.
Right.
Is that a good thing to do if people are comfortable with where they are and they don't do the big, they want little? So should you leave them, or should we be encouraging other people outside of the box of their comfort zones?
If it's within your heart, by all means, encourage and motivate.
Okay.
There shouldn't be a hidden motive or some type of underlying, I say, lower vibrational motivation behind it.
Okay.
So you're gonna get people who like to stay safe.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt to encourage them to go outside the box, but this goes back to free will. They don't have to buy it. They could walk away because you're too pushy.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, that lady just want to upsell me.
Right.
So you have to think about it that way. So do as what your spirit is telling you, and maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll think about it after they left and come back and get the bulky items.
Yeah.
Maybe I think all things happen for a reason. So maybe you talking about, oh yeah, this piece will look great on you, will get them more cognizant. It's just that awareness that you're bringing to that.
Okay.
So always do things from the heart and wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Because my personality is one where I don't, if somebody tells me that they're not comfortable, I'm not a pushy person, but I'm wondering, but I see other people who
Leo?
See?
Yeah, right.
No, you're not. I know what you're saying. Not with your customers. You're not.
Yeah. So I'm like, then I see other people who are pushy when they're selling, and I'm like, should I be more
And it
aggressive?
does make you uncomfortable.
Could,
Right. Some people.
Yeah.
But some people want that.
They need
Right.
it. They need it. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have that intuition, Leos have that intuition, say, hey, this might look good on you, or this color might go great with your complexion. Something to kind of, Leos are extravagant already, so you could tell, if you got a Leo in front of you. We all know. So
We're both by your side, so I know.
You can tell Leo in the place, So, but it's just like I said, if you have that within your spirit, some people are very highly intuitive, some people are psychic, So use those gifts, and you will gravitate. You will pull people towards you who are more like-minded, or who will help you to get you to your higher self, to vibrate higher. Be around people that make you feel good. And avoid people that all they talk about is their problems, their money problems, their man, or oh my gosh, and this guy, oh my car, and all stuff that you feel like when you think about it, you can control what's bothering you. If you don't like this guy, get away from him. Stop talking to me about this. So you got to think about it like that. If you always crying broke, what are you spending your money on? Like, come on, just figure it out.
To change that,
Right, because you're just complaining about it. It's,
right.
You're not doing anything.
Right.
And the person who you telling to can't do much for you, and they probably won't.
But get frustrated.
You know
So
what's really cool right now is that you're talking about the connectivity of everything. And I'm sitting here like, this is so cool, because like right now at this moment, it was necessary for us to have this conversation, and it was time for us to have our natal charts. Like, I totally get that. I'm like, at this point in our journeys, wherever we probably not even in the same place, but at this moment, it was important for this connection to happen and for us. And I'm just I'm now even more excited to see what it says, even though I didn't like that one part I read.
And it just so happens that the sun is conjunct Mercury, so it's a lot of Mercury represents communication, and the sun is so it worked out as the universe had put that. So, I was able to come and explain, Astrology 101. We did go into 4th and 5th level astrology, but there are the people who are listening in, the people who will be listening, you guys presented that to them for a reason,
Yes.
and at this time
Yep.
they're going to be hearing that.
Beautiful.
So hopefully that kind of brings the awareness that, you know, there is more to yourself than what you've been told since a child. The lies that the people been abused, you know, things that we learn when we're at work, you know, and you don't have to accept what anyone tells you,
Right.
you know. So goes back to free will. You always have that choice to do what you want. Just know that there is a true inner self, and once you're more in alignment with yourself, things will just manifest for you.
Well, before, I know we are for time, but before we wrap up, can you just tell our listening audience where they can find you?
Okay.
Just kind of where they can find you and the services that you provide.
Okay.
Yeah.
So QuietStormAstrology.com. QuietStorm. Which one? This one. QuietStormAstrology.com. You can also email me at qsastrology@gmail.com. You can also reach me at 301-615-1501. I also do Skype readings. I also do in-person readings. Those are more so at the events that I go to. King Simon Productions, Brother King Simon, he's out of New York. I do a lot of shows with him as well. I'm going to be in New York soon. But KingSimonProductions.eventbrite.com, I help out a lot with his events as well. So we partner up. He does numerology, I do the astrology portion.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the website has that information.
Is there a reason why you're not on social media?
So, you know, social media nowadays, I am back on it. So there's a YouTube, Quiet Storm Astrology. I am back on it, but now with how social media is, since it's been taken over by the government, a lot of people's information, private stuff gets put out there that maybe they don't want out there. It's caused a lot of lower vibrational emotions in people.
Agreed.
Things that I sensed and saw years ago. So we're talking about a good 6 years I've been off of social media. But since coming into more of my truth, I want to help other people.
Yeah.
You know, as far as the issues going on with this internet and internet neutrality, we're just trying to do the best that we can to get the word out to people, and you know, come out to the events that I do.
Yeah.
You get more of in-depth.
Yeah.
That we're not really censored.
Yeah. And the
you know,
energy's different.
and the energy is
in
very
person
different.
versus behind that computer screen.
It's very different, right? So you know, we have people who hide behind words.
Yes.
You know, so I tend to avoid that. And if you know, if you want a reading from me, you're gonna get it straight. You're gonna get no nonsense, straight talk. I'm gonna give you the good, bad, and the ugly.
You Skype too?
Skype, yes, I do Skype. So.
Beautiful. Well, family, that has been our Empower Hour, and I hope you got as much out of it as I have. This was fascinating, which I knew it would be, you know, dealing with the stars. So, yeah, and again, this is Quiet Storm, so definitely look her up. Go to her if you want to get your natal chart or any more information pertaining to astrology. And until next week, take care of each other out there. Peace.
Take care.